Well, hello and welcome to this week's edition of Something for the Weekend. Do apologise, any of you watching live, for a slight delay, but gremlins appear to be in the system. So, welcome to the show from Together 2012. Today, we will be running our normal agenda items, our pop-up poetry club, our art club. We'll be looking at some craft at home, our Paralympic racing, for which of those of you who don't know, that is where Ju brings out some of her massive collection of wind-up toys to race. And then we will we'll go on to look at things that we can all be interested in this week, items coming up that we might want to take part in or watch on TV, followed by an interview at the end of the show with a new artist together called Angharad, and I'll introduce that later. So, I'm not presented this bit first, I'll be honest. So let's go with my staltering ever so slightly. So to start with, we all dress up to go out to stay in. So in a moment, we'll go through what we are wearing. And I'll start with me. So I am in our studio in Sutton Coldfield in the West Midlands. It is a very long way from the studio in London, where the hosting normally takes place. But we are here on a breezy day, sitting in front of our studio, lovely red velvet curtains. And today I am wearing, my glasses again today. So I have blacky blue rimmed glasses in front of my blue eyes, white hair, nearly shaven. And I'm wearing a round necked white t-shirt with 16 pictures on the front, which I won't describe them all, but there's 16 images from Ian Dury's single Reason to Be Cheerful Part 3. And I'm wearing this to go out, to stay in, to be part of next week's International Stress Awareness Week. I'm joined in the studio today, as ever, by Tracy. Tracy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, hello, I'm Tracy Surgener, and yes, we are in our Sutton Coldfield studio. Today I've got my long blonde hair is down, and it's that long now it stays behind my shoulders. I've got pale complexion, blue eyes. I don't wear glasses unless I'm reading. And today I'm in a symbol of greys. So I've got a grey, warm, cuddly sweatshirt, jumper with stripes of lighter grey and white and black. With that, I'm wearing a long grey cottony scarf that I've twisted, and that's got little sparkly bits in. And I'm wearing some really warm, I've got to say, because it is cold up in Birmingham, grey trousers that have got black, like little leopard prints on it. And today I am dressed up to go out to stay in to lead a recycled paper workshop.
Well, I've got to say, that sounds exciting.
Thank
And
you.
I think we're going to see a little bit about how that's going to work in the craft section of the show. So now I'm going to hand over to the East London end of our studio. Over to you guys.
Thank you, Robin, and hello, Robin and Tracy. I'm Ju Gosling, also known as the artist Ju90. I'm artistic director of Together 2012, and with me, though she's been locked down since March 2020, but who's counting, is our chair, the artist and campaigner Julie Newman. We are dressed up to go out to stay in front of the Together banner, which, well, you can just see a little bit of it. It's our famous Together graffiti banner. It's got images on it of all the art forms we cover in the course of a year, from live music, photography, visual art, carnival arts, all more things that we could begin to imagine.
Just to let you know, your sound has dropped again for some unknown reason. Sorry, viewers, we are having some technical issues with sounds. So just let you know, maybe speak up a bit. I'm not sure what the system's doing.
So,
well,
I'm going to turn this up slightly and see if that makes a difference.
Don't know yet. Carry on.
Yes, no, I'm getting some live chat as well saying the microphone is going in and out, and all we can do is apologise to for the gremlins, and ask you to bear with us because we really do enjoy your company. So I'm Ju Gosling. I've got short, hennaed red hair in a corona crop, self-administered. And over my hair, I'm wearing what some people might recognise from our summer kitchen carnival project. It's a bat's headband with bat ears made from silver foil and cardboard, and some extra eyes made out of green bottle tops. And I've also got pale olive skin, green eyes behind black plastic glasses, black wrist braces, silver coloured jewellery, and that includes a silver owl pendant. And I've got a dark navy, yes, I think it's dark navy rather than black t-shirt with an owl on it. And I am dressed up to go out to stay in, to go to the Regard Halloween Celtic New Year social on Sunday. This is free from the times between 3 to 5 p.m. on Sunday. It's organised by Regard, the National LGBTQI Disabled People's Organisation, and it stars Claire Summerskill and guests, and there is an open mic. And also, I should introduce our teddy bear Tanny, who is currently sitting behind us in front of the banner, waiting to see whether we are going to win the Clockwork Paralympics this week, because if so, she gets to wear a medal. And our teddy bears, as always, are taking part in the International Virtual Bear Hunt. Julie, who are you? What do you look like? And what, well, in fact, we know you're dressed up to go out to stay in, to go to Regard as well, but what are you wearing?
Hello, everybody. I'm Julie Newman. I'm the chair of Together 2012. Today, I'm wearing a grey pork pie hat with a little black band on it, which is quite sweet. My gold and silver hair is stretching, but not as long as Tracy's. I wear dark rimmed glasses. I have a black t-shirt on, and it has a motif in the front of a bat with a crescent moon and sort of bluey orangey around it. I like the motif of the bat because it reminds me of the kitchen carnival. But in truth, I'm more celebrating Samhain, which I love. It's an old Celtic traditional celebration at this time of year, and usually it can last anywhere between 6 and 9 days, which I like a lot.
Yes, and of course the modern equivalent is Halloween running into fireworks, and of course we've also had Diwali already. So we're going to move on and look at some poems from the Together Pop-Up Poetry Club. Julie, do you want to tell us more about the club, please?
Yes, every week the club is run on the telephone, and we've got a system set up so that we call you, so you don't have to pay the cost of the call, and it's set up on a old-fashioned conference call, sort of traditional sort of way of doing things. It's led by our program leader, Alison Marchant, the international artist, and each week she sets a theme. This week's theme was Sunshine Through My Window. And so she called us at about between 20 past and 10:30. We waited and then all joined in together at 10:30, as we do in a merry way. And we read poems, either poems that we'd written ourselves or poems that we had found that struck us according to the theme, or perhaps for some other reason. And then at 11 o'clock, we all ended the call. Alison rang us back about 20 past 11 to 11:30, and we all had the opportunity to read our own works, our own poetry.
And what was the subject?
Sunshine Through My Window. I think I said that.
Yeah, I'm going to hand over to Tracy.
Okay. I'll start, and this is a poem from Crystal Peasy, and the title is Sunshine. Sun shines through the window. You can see the shadows through the window, and when it's sunny, daffodils come out. I like the sunshine very much, although when I go out, the sun shines on my eyes, and I close my eyes, and the sun shines like a diamond. Our body needs sunshine and it warms up our blood. We get a lot of health benefits from the sunshine. You can also get skin damage from the sunshine if you're not wearing sunscreen for protection.
Thank you, Tracy. Shall I go next with one from here as well? And then we'll move.
One from Julie next.
Okay, this is by Alison Marchant, and it's called it's called Scribble. It's called Sunlight Through a Window. Light streams through the window to my side. Small particles of otherwise unseen swirling dust catch the light, settling on the desktop before me. A gentle warmth, light cast and reflected behind me, like a square patch of gold leaf on the lower section of the door. Sparkling light catches my gaze and sparkles a fragment of a sunny day in autumn sunlight. Now, I just want to point out before we move on that this was Alison's original poetry. This wasn't found words.
Yes, and I think so. For anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about because you haven't seen the show before, Alison is fabled for writing poems by finding lines and finding descriptions and cutting them up in sort of William Burroughs' big poetry style and creating new works. But she does write original poems as well. So, Robin, what have you got for us?
I'm going to read one from Glory in a moment, but just for Julie's mic is absolutely beautifully clear, and we just keep losing you, and it's very weird. So, just need to let you know.
I found a solution.
That works. It's got to be okay. So, you'll have to swap. All right. Let's fingers crossed. So, anyway, here we go. Here is The Sunshine from Glory Sengo. The sunshine is on everyone who likes chips. The sunshine is on everyone who likes swimming. The sunshine is on everyone who likes going out to the beach. The sunshine is on everyone who likes burgers. The sunshine is on everyone who likes chicken. The sunshine is on everyone who likes Teletubbies. The sunshine is on everyone who likes tweenies.
Thank you for that. That does make me laugh. Right. Now I have a stolen microphone. I shall read one by Kate Rollerson. And Kate, as we said last week, is our new youth development worker. So if you're any age up till 25, do get in touch. It's just kate@together2012.org.uk, and we'll have more information about our newly relaunched youth development programme very soon. But this is called Sunburn. The ducks fly over the fence to jostle and shove in the 2 feet by 1 foot pond. Our neighbour pulls up the ragwort to dye her cloth. The old dog bathes in a patch of sunlight, breathing heavily, limbs outstretched. Rare sunshine after days of rain. Soon we will walk to the beach, comb for cowries, shriek at the cold water, then swim out to the buoys and back again. This time we've used sunscreen, but I remember all the blistering of my childhood when I'd disappear to the beach with my cousins, inventing games with shells and seaweed for hours, barely noticing our burnt skin till it was too late. Thank you, Kate. That's so evocative, and I love the idea of the ducks and the tiny little pond and the neighbour pulling up ragwort and the dog. It's just a really lovely way to sort of take us out of shielding in East London and to a very, very different kind of countryside. Tracy, what have you got for us next?
Right, I've got one by Dawn Barber, and the title is Sun Through the Window. Hello, sun. You are here again, shining on my window. The light looks so beautiful. You're healing my heart and soul. I love you. I love you, sun. I feel you on my whole body, from my feet right up my body to my head. You light up my world. I hope you will stay for a while to make me smile.
Thank you, Dawn. You often make me smile. And I love the way that With dawn, the inanimate objects and forces of nature become characters, and they become characters in the poem in their own right. It's not just the humans. Julie, did you have your poem to share with us?
Haha, I have the microphone. This is called Sunlight Through the Window. Excuse me. Soft, gentle early dawn lightens the sky. Red streaks become orange and yellow, sharp against the blues and purples with the rising sun. Light written large in the window brings sunlight through the glass. Dawn fades and the day moves on. Time becomes measured with shadows until, with a flash, a shaft of reflected light halts the vision of the joyous morn. In that second, motion stops. White light floods the world like mercury, silver touching every angle of sight. Nothing then shows until the magician's fingers snap and the colours return.
And as we always say, we don't know how you manage to write a poem every week, but we wish we could. So is that all the poems from this week's club?
Oh, no, I still have one from Dwayne.
Wonderful.
Okay, so this one from Dwayne Bryan, one of our regular contributors. This is called Sunshine Through My Window. The sun beams through my window with a blistering light. It's so strong, I nearly lose my sight. It gives the room a bright shade, and the light is brave. It must be summertime, and the sun lights up my mind. Through this summer day, it gives you this wonderful shade. The sun has come out as it usually does, and it feels comfortable, like the quilt I hug. It's not really a hot day, but the sun is out. As it shines through my window, I guess that's what the sun is all about. We all know the sun shines bright. We all know it's in our sight. We feel the burn. We feel the heat. The sun burns with a strong heat, and it leaves us sweating. You can dehydrate or faint. The sun comes out with a blistering heat. But at times, it leaves a rainbow you just might want to meet. Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, that's a great one to end on. And now we must move on. But first, Julie, what's this topic for next week's poem if people want to join in at home?
Plastic waste.
Plastic waste, which is a topic I think is going to be on everybody's minds because COP26 starts in Glasgow next week. But we're going to see what's been happening at the Together 2012 Art Club. They run a session on a Friday. It's free to any disabled person, anybody you want to have with you on Zoom, but we can also send you the image by text, email, WhatsApp, whatever is easier for you. And it's run by Alison Marchant, our club's programme leader, and she also does an audio description at the beginning. So if you haven't got a great connection or you're using, you're having to use your phone, it still makes it, pretty accessible. And it's very much about using whatever you've got at home, even if that's just a cheap biro or a pencil, you can still do still life. So I'm going to do what we usually do, pop the image up on the screen, get Robin to give us some brief audio description.
This is my favourite part of the week. Okay, so what we have here is a hat on a silver, very thin silver, I'm assuming a hat stand. It's a I don't know, a sort of hat. It looks a bit like a mushroom almost in its shape. It's pale browns, a pale brown leopard print really. It's fur, and then on the front there is a kind of brooch to make it. It looks like a bird. It's meant to look like a bird with black and white feathers and some black and white and sparkling material holding the inside the brooch. Sorry, that was the worst description ever. And next to that is a pair of sandals. One of the sandals is upright, the other is on its side, leaning away from the shoe but towards the hat. They are a deep red leather sandal, but interestingly, the sole inside has a very similar leopard print to the hat, so it kind of makes a great ensemble picture.
Thank you for that, Robin. And now we're going to look at some of the people, some of the entries from the art club from this week. So this is a beautiful coloured pencil drawing, and this is by Lee Brooker. And yes, I mean, Lee's really kind of shown it as it is, and hasn't had time to put the leopard skin insoles in, but otherwise it's a very faithful representation. This is a painting by Crystal Peasy, and Crystal done what she often does, which I think is really interesting, and she's imagined a different perspective. So she's seen the photo, but she's imagined herself looking down on it. And I always find that really interesting because, of course, the one thing we can't do with still life online is have a setup where people can roll round it and look at it from above and look at it from below. But Crystal's really great at imagining how that looks anyway. And this one is by Kate Rollerson, who's, as I said, is our new youth development worker. She's obviously very, very good at drawing, and I'm not entirely sure what she's used, but I think it might be a combination of pastels and coloured pencils. And what she's done is she's had the sort of hat fall back a bit in the background and really made the shoes stand out in the foreground. And again, it's just a different way of looking at it. And one of the great things about the still life is that everybody's got a different perspective. And finally, this is by Sophia, and it's a combination of coloured pencil and felt tip. And in fact, what Sophia's done with the felt tip is really focus on the ornament on the hat to stand out. So she's done that outlined and coloured in black felt tip, and that becomes the most interesting thing in the picture from Sophia's perspective. So again, just these few pictures give you such an sort of good range of different ideas and different perspectives and different ways to focus. So we're also going to have a look just quickly at what the art club do on a Tuesday. They hold a make and natter session on a Tuesday, which is pretty much we do what it says on the tin. People either bring craft projects along to show other people and get some feedback, or they do an activity that Alison does, well, essentially using things that you already have at home. And we also have people who get into one project and then continue with that. So it's very much a session to get together and show people what you're doing, but it's not about everybody doing the same thing at all. So Crystal Peasy has been doing lots and lots of traditional pom-pomming, where instead of using one of those plastic pom-pom makers, you cut some circles out of cardboard. And we saw one that she was beginning, I think it was like a couple of weeks ago. So here is the final pom-pom. And it's a real mix of bright greens, bright yellows, purples, reds. It's got some blue in the middle, and it's got some blue fabric around it. And one of the things I like about the pom-poms that Crystal's is creating is she's deliberately not making them these perfect balls. They come out like sort of strange fruits and all sorts of different things. So if you fancy pom-pomming, all you need is a bit of card and some scrap wool. And this is one of Duncan Bridgestock's recycled collages. Duncan's been making these for most of the year now, including things like recycled medication packets, any kind of recycled junk mail. This is on yellow card with different sizes of black circles and L-shaped. I think it's cut out of something that was purple with white print. We've actually got a whole online exhibition coming up in 2 weeks' time of Duncan's. It's called Because I Felt Like It. That's the title of the exhibition. And it's about 50 of these collages. So look out for news of that next week. And then finally, these are some of the things Sophia's been doing painted up. So Alison started last week with salt dough modelling. We've got all of the instructions for that also on our website under the Join In with Tracy page. And this is what Sophia's been painting, and she's just been using very cheap but very bright acrylic paints. So we've got things in greens, yellows, reds, blues. It's covered very, very well. And there's also an example where she's been wrapping a plastic container in papier-mâché, which was something the club were doing a few weeks ago. And then she's painted that as well. So that's great, Sophia. Well done. And now I think it's time that we moved on for some more crafts, especially for viewers at home. And we're going to join in with Tracy.
We are, and this week I've stuck with the paper theme. Got an excess of paper in our house. So for this week, I've just taken a couple of magazines, glue stick, pair of scissors, and as you can see, I've started cutting the magazine into strips of paper. So this is something we have done in the past, but I fancy doing it again. This is sort of like an easy way of doing a craft called quilling, which is where you roll some very, very thin pieces of paper into circles and then make them into different shapes. So basically, I've just got myself a whole collection. I've got the smaller shapes are from the inside coloured pages of the magazine, and then the ones that are more white are from the pages with the writing on. And I've also made another of those paper straws that I've been using over the last few weeks. This is a little outline of what I wanted to do. I think you might be able to tell it's some sort of animal. And I just did a basic drawing with a pen to give me an idea of size and shape for the page. Oh, that's a big jump. So what I did is with the paper straws, I covered the shape that I'd made with the paper straws to give me a holding space for all my circles. And this is me filling the middle of my shape with the coloured circles. And so now I can give it away. It's supposed to be an owl. And what I've done is I haven't rolled the circles very tightly because I wanted to let them open a little bit to create their own space and their own shape. So this is my owl as it stands with its two little feet. I've left the wings. I created the wings by just bending the paper back, and I've left them without filling them because I thought that was more just give the picture a little bit more. And then I've created the trunk of the tree that my owl is sitting on, and again I've let those papers unravel quite a bit. What I didn't mention is to get them to stick to the paper, I used you can use point stick or PVA glue. I used the glue. I found it was easier to just pick up my circle and dip it into the glue and then stick it onto the page. Yeah, I was quite impressed with the outcome of that.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I think it's a really sensible way to do quilling is actually to do a huge roll and then just chop it up with the scissors. I'm not sure whether we should tell Alison that or not.
Well, actually, Ju, I hadn't done it that way. I'd done all my strips and then rolled them individually. But now you've mentioned that, I might try that.
Oh, you see, I saw the
Yeah.
rolls at the beginning and then saw the smaller ones and saw the scissors and just assumed.
No, each strip.
No, not the stage circle.
Yeah, you just roll it to make a circle.
I thought it looked very vintage, probably because of the colour of the paper that you used. It gave it quite a vintage look, but it had a very painterly aspect to it, I thought.
I think what it
Thank
does.
you.
Sorry, I also think, and actually seeing it on the picture gives it a different depth as well. But it gives it that. Obviously, it is three-dimensional because there is depth of it. But actually, the different shades and the different colours kind of actually you can imagine it being an owl, if that rather than it being a picture of an owl.
Yeah, so I think it's that the paper almost becomes the feathers, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Oh, it's
Not
beautiful.
sure
I think that's
how
the
you can see it.
yeah, we can, and even better now. But when you think about it, feathers are not necessarily even, and they ruffle in the wind and so on. And yeah, I think the texture is just what really brings it to life. So another very simple but brilliantly effective craft from Tracy. So now it is time for the Clockwork Paralympics, and it's 99 days exactly. Well, depending on how you count time zones, till Winter Olympics start in Beijing, and of course, then followed by the Winter Paralympics. So we are back with our Winter Paralympians, the Clockwork Snowmen, but they're still in the bathroom, or should I say, the aquatic centre. To play the Clockwork Paralympics from home and to give your teddy bear the chance of wearing a medal, all you've got to do is say, am I supporting the toy on the right or the left side of the screen before it starts? So, Robin, introduce your hopeful medal bearer.
Well, competing on behalf of Birmingham 2022 this week is Melassa Bear. I've just called him such because that's what this week he reminds. His deep brown colour makes me think of lovely molasses in a jar, all sticky and yummy. I'll be a bit quiet about that now. And yeah, he's a probably a sort of 15, 20 centimetre tall brown TY Teddy.
Funnily enough, I hope they're still not doing it, but I believe there was a bear pit in Germany in the sort of 20s and 30s that was a big tourist attraction, and you paid to give the bear molasses, and then they licked it all up and got covered in it.
Oh.
I don't imagine they had much teeth by the time they were old. But our Teddy again is Tanny. Tanny will allow a substitute when we finally win another medal, but Tanny hasn't been wearing a medal for some weeks now. Tanny is a lovely, soft, honey-coloured bear with a red sports headband, red and white trainers, and a blue sports top, and fortunately has her own medal as well. So Tanny is quite hopeful. But do you want the right side or the left side of the screen, Robin? And then I'll hand over to you for some commentary.
Today we're going to take the left-hand side of the screen. So here we are at the aquatics arena and the outside track, just running just outside the stadium. Our snowmen are ready to race. And it is a hugely exciting start. From this angle, it looks like the competitor on the left is slightly wavering. Oh no, but the one on the right is also going. At the moment, I can't actually tell from here. Oh, it would appear that despite doing our best to not win, London haven't, and Birmingham 2022 have again stopped victory at the last moment. Poor Tanny, we are deeply apologetic. Oh, and our medals are all tied together now. So
it must be hell to live in a household where you've just got dozens and dozens and dozens of medals. We've just got the one gold plastic one still hanging in the corner.
Well, here we go. We're going for the rectangular medal this week. I mean, we do have plenty, but we keep them. They're not all out. We're not quite so immodest as to leave medals lying around the house everywhere. But this is a nice rectangular gold medal from the West Midlands Swimming Championship 2013. So it must have been mine.
Fair enough. Well, at least you know whose medals are whose, and you're not constantly stealing the teenagers for the teddy bears. So we are now at the point where we recommend suggestions and things to do at home in the week ahead. It might be online, it might be offline, it might be on TV, but we've, as always, managed to find a whole range of activities you can do without leaving your home. I'm going to give away a secret here for the sake of Robin, because I felt increasingly sorry for him. If you simply Google free events online next week, you get an entire kind of selection come right up, and I just have to pick from them. If you click on the Eventbrite link that comes up, you do then need to just check free again, and it's all there waiting for you. But Robin does it the hard way usually. So why don't you start with one of your hard-earned recommendations?
Okay. This one looks quite exciting. It's called Seasick, which sounds less exciting. But it's a new piece of work. It's on tomorrow afternoon at 3:00 at the
So that's Friday.
yeah, sorry, sorry, yes, I must apologise for that. It's on Friday, the 29th of October at 3 p.m. It's being performed live at the Belgrade Theatre in Coventry, but is being promoted is online simultaneously, and it's a new piece of work combining music and poetry by two disabled women from the West Midlands, and it's about it brings together poetry and songs of the sea. And I thought Ju and the love of shanty, that there will be this great combination, and it's all about kind of where it's a very mental health awareness. A lot of this stuff this week is about how we are feel in ourselves, and it's about those moments that you have in life when you haven't quite woken up but you're not asleep anymore, and it's kind of exploring that moment in time but from a disabled person's point of view.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely unmissable. Julie, would you like the microphone to recommend one?
Thank you, Ju. Bearing in mind the coming up of the Beijing Winter Olympics and Paralympics, I've picked up a little brief Sorry, let me start this again. I found in a standard art magazine a description of the choreographed piece from France by Sadik Waf, of the people in wheelchairs who use their arms and their hands to create a choreographed piece anticipating Paris 2024. It's on YouTube. It's freely available. It's so beautiful that I thought, although we've been through the Tokyo Olympics, it's well worth looking at again.
Yes, I think for anybody who was able to sit through the whole handover ceremony, it was part of the handover ceremony, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful example of how wheelchair users can take part in really meaningful ways in big ceremonies. I mean, the other way that we would say they can meaningfully take part is, making patterns with your wheelchairs rather than sort of being static and using your arms, because not everybody's got that upper body strength. But our associate, some dance company, Folk in Motion, is somebody's just saying, Kate Rollerson is saying, I love the sound of Seasick. So and there it is coming up on the screen, although for some reason that doesn't appear to be moving around properly. So I'm just going to hide that again. But yes, our associate wheelchair dance company, Folk in Motion, also includes people being pushed. So we know that there's ways that people can participate, like I say, making really meaningful choreography and looking beautiful. I think I'll always be disappointed that the London 2012 Paralympics had less than 4% disabled people performing, and they had people on bikes and people on skates, because you just think, we're on wheels too. So yeah, I would really recommend that on YouTube. But what I'm going to recommend is a sing-along to live music from the 60s and 70s with Paul. this may appeal to people of a certain age, but actually the music of the 60s and 70s often appeals to everybody. And it takes place every Sunday from 8 to 9. Paul broadcasts from his home, and he says as COVID is kind of, well, when COVID allows, he will have musicians around there as well. But he's been entertaining Londoners in bars, pubs and clubs for over 40 years, and now he's entertaining people free from home, singing songs that everybody knows the words of, so can at least join in the chorus. And we were promoting a guitar jam and ukulele jam that everybody can join in. If you have a look on our website, we have a highlights and links page, and by 4 o'clock on a Thursday, all of the current material is up. Not just the poems, the artwork and so on, and photographs of things like the still life for you to join in from home, but all of the recommendations and all of the links. So we'll have the sing-along link there, but if you scroll down to the previous week's shows, if you play an instrument, you'll also find the guitar and ukulele jam. But I thought you don't have to play anything or do anything to do this. You just want to enjoy opening up your lungs, having a bit of a sing, and feeling a bit social without actually having to socialise. Tracy, what have you got for us?
Well, by the time I finished on the Regard open mic and the sing-along thing on Sunday, I don't think I'll have any energy left for anything else. Right, so I've got today for you, it's a health and happiness workshop, because next week being,
International Stress Awareness.
International Stress Awareness. I'm so stressed. So it's something that's going to happen on a Monday evening. It's not a one-off. It's going to happen on a Monday evening at 7 o'clock, starting on the 1st of November, and then it'll be every other Monday. It's a free workshop. It's being run by The Art of Living. And the idea is for you to go on and learn about meditation, breathing exercises, and just to develop some techniques for yourself to be able to deal with those instances of feeling a bit low, feeling a bit down. I think that's a really, really important one, just to keep ourselves energized. And it's one that I'm definitely going to be looking at and hoping to take part in.
Brilliant. Julie, what have you got for us next?
I found to my joy that Autumn Watch, which is on now, has the BBC. I was just about to say has its own website. It's a BBC website, and it's got live cameras and it's got all sorts of feeds. It's predominantly from Suffolk this year, although it has I think Scotland and Ireland, Northern Ireland is part of it as well. But it's beautiful. It's got so much wonderful resource in terms of wildlife, and also the time of the year. Autumn is a wonderful time. It's a very exciting time. So I really do recommend it.
And Autumn Watch is a BBC Two show, isn't it? So it's on, I think it's on weekday evenings at 8 o'clock on BBC Two. So if you don't have access to the website, then watch out for the TV shows. I'm going to recommend something on Monday from 5 to 6. And this isn't really just for young people. It's for anybody of any age who's interested in getting into a career in publishing. And the publishers Hatchet, or rather the UK branch, are organising this series of talks called Opening the Book, which is all about aimed at people who want a career in publishing. So this is particularly relevant to artists because it's people interested in design careers, and there's a whole range of them, more than you might think. So it includes tips and insights and a live Q&A, and that's 5 to 6 p.m. on Monday the 1st. Robin, what have you got for us next?
I've got one. It's called On the Shoulders of Carly. I think we talk often about documenting what we do, and this is a really good example of why documentation matters. Carly Theatre celebrated its 30th year in June, and they held a symposium to celebrate it. And Carly Theatre, its whole kind of basic start point was giving South Asian women writers a voice. It offers unique opportunities, not solely, but kind of quite pointed towards South Asian women writers. And they what they did was they hold this symposium, but they then they've created a film of the symposium, and which is available online. And I just think I haven't watched it all, but there's some fantastic kind of ideas and voices in there about how important it is, and people's women's experience of gaining the opportunity to write for theatre. So I think and I think it works across the board, in the sense of, if you're a would-be writer, it works anyway, but it kind of really highlights that there are opportunities for people from communities who might otherwise feel that they would be excluded.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, the next one I want to recommend is, well, it's after Black History Month, but as we say, with LGBT History Month and Disability History Month, which is coming up next month, it's not just about the month, it's about 52 weeks of the year. And this is a series of public lectures organised by the Paul Mellon Centre that start next Thursday and then continue every Thursday up to and including the 9th of December. And they're from 6:30 to 8, and it's Black British artists and political activism. It's introduced by Elizabeth Robles, and it just looks absolutely fascinating. We don't get half enough coverage of Black British artists as it is, so it isn't just about how they interconnect with political activism. There are bound to be artists that you've never heard of, but you really want to now that you've got the opportunity. So yeah, thoroughly recommend that. What else have you got for us from the West Midlands, Tracy?
Well, I've actually got on there, I think I did mention this maybe last year, but it ties in really nicely with Stress Awareness Week. Is an app that I've got on my phone, and it's an app called Balance. It's available on Android and iPhones. It's a free app for the first year, and they do actually remind you a couple of weeks before your year is up, so that you can cancel or continue to carry on. If you carry on, there's a charge. But I've just found this app really, really useful. We both use it, actually. We use it every night to get off to sleep, because neither of us sleep well. But it's got lots of other little apps within it, so it's very easy to use, very easy to work the actual site. Some of them I find quite complicated. It's very easy. They've got apps for 10 minutes of stress relief. They've got, you can get it down to a 3-minute breathing exercise. So I would really recommend that people explore it, have a look at it and explore it, and work out whether they think it's good for them. But I would definitely recommend it.
Brilliant. Well, we've got about 2 minutes. Julie, have you got something quick for us?
The Great British Bake Off has been weekly on Channel 4 on Tuesdays at 8 p.m, followed by on Fridays at 8 p.m, another slice on Channel 4 with Joe Brand. They've actually got a website. I've been very excited this week to find all these websites, but they've got their own website, and you've got recipes in it, you've got little repeats, you've got bits about the individual bakers, and it's absolutely enchanting.
Thank you. I've literally for the last 3 weeks, Bake Off comes on. 3 minutes past 8, I've headed for the biscuits. 8:45, I'm asleep. 9:15. Okay, I've missed absolutely everything again. And I mean, I keep meaning to then catch up, but I don't. So by the time Extra Slice comes along, I'm like, well, maybe I'll get a glimpse of the showstoppers and find out who's gone now. So yeah, I'm finding it really, really frustrating. Have you got anything quickly from the West Midlands, Robin?
Very quickly, and there's something called Private Plays. The link is on there. It's through Disability Arts Online, and very interestingly, it is if you sign up to it, it's available certainly at the moment for the next 3 days. It's a way of, you get a kind of what they call a zine, or is a bit like a graphic novel, and a script, and it's written for people with autism who really, really don't like theatre spaces, and the noises and the chaos, and you actually work through it and deliver your own play to yourself, but a script that you've downloaded. So it looks fascinating.
it looks absolutely wonderful. I mean, there's just so much out there to do that you can do without ever leaving the home. We just can't begin to scratch the surface. So I'd just like to finish by flagging up that on Sunday, LGBTQI plus disabled people, allies, and anybody else who's interested, regard having a Zoom social from 3 to 5 p.m. Come in fancy dress. There are prizes, including the pets, and there's open mic, and the lead performer is Claire Summerskill. And then next Thursday, we have our usual monthly Zoom together. Again, that's open mic. Just contact us for the details. I'm going to put the link up for Regard, but if you drop a line to secretary@regard.org.uk, they will send you the link. And if you want to join in Zoom together, it's info@together2012.org.uk, or just go to the highlights and links page. But otherwise, it's goodbye from East London, and we'll hand over to the West Midlands to introduce the final item.
Okay, so it is going to be goodbye from us. But before the show closes, we have a great interview and song from, as I said at the beginning, a new artist to us known as Angharad. Today I am talking with Angharad, all the way down in Swansea, which apparently today is a little breezy.
Just a tad.
Introduce yourself, please.
I'm Angharad. I'm a musician. I'm a neurodiverse, chronically ill musician, and I try to make songs about things that I haven't heard songs about before.
That must be a bit tough sometimes.
I don't know. I think it comes slightly naturally in that if I am feeling an emotion and I want a soundtrack to that emotion, if I know I can find it, I'll go listen to another artist's music, them talking about it. And if I can't find it, I'll be, well, I have to express this myself in some other way, and that turns into the music.
That sounds like a great way of composing music. As a songwriter myself, you are always looking for that something different, what gives you that moment of inspiration. I'm talking to you today as you're going to be part of our Together festival. And you've also recently been commissioned through Disability Arts Online and Together to create something new. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so for this, I wanted to create a pop song that kind of did reflect some of my experience of being disabled and sort of mentally ill. I had actually composed the chorus, just the lyrics to the chorus in the past when I was in a kind of depressive episode, but I didn't really know what to do with it or how I wanted to kind of frame these emotions. And being in a kind of more clear-headed space and having like the opportunity to apply for the commission, I kind of came back to it and I was like, okay, I want to kind of reframe this. I want to articulate this as not only my problem, but sort of everyone else's problem. So it's kind of a song about, I need support. And if I had support, I could do all this other stuff. But still as a kind of upbeat pop song.
I get that. I mean, my question would be, how cathartic do you find that creation process? And then perhaps when you play it live, does it deliver a different experience, or does it consolidate that kind of freedom that the creation gives you?
I think often once it's done, I have a great level of kind of catharsis and kind of like singing it back and performing it excellent. The moment of creation is both kind of frustrating and cathartic, because I'll get halfway through and I'll be like, this is going excellent. And part of me just wants to kind of revel in the fact that it's half done. And I'll listen over and over to the bit that I've done and be like, no, I have to finish this emotion. It has to be finished off. So it's this kind of like push-pull of creation where you actually like the finished product, is going to feel so good. So you just like focus on the bit that feels finished. And so that's my struggle in the creative process.
No, I think it's really important. Lots of our viewers are creatives, and sometimes it can come across that, these people produce these amazing pieces of work. How do they do it? And it's really good for other people to understand that it doesn't just happen. It's a real, sometimes you have to have a real work ethic to create that piece of work. So continuing on the theme of like your creation, What element comes first? Do you start with lyrics? Do you start with music? Or does it all, how does it work for you?
I personally always start with lyrics. Like I have quite a lot of the lyrics down before I tend to push for a tune. When I was earlier in my songwriting like career and I wasn't as kind of confident or good, I used to basically write lyrics to other songs. So I would like steal other people's rhythms basically and write lyrics as if they were to someone else's tune. And then I would put that lyric away for like a few weeks and come back to it until I'd kind of forgotten what I based it on. And then I could come up with a tune for it that was new and different. And I think that has evolved into my current process, which is like always lyrics first.
I mean, it's an absolutely valid process. So what instruments do you play?
I play guitar and I play enough keyboard that I can put input on my MIDI keyboard and then edit around my mistakes. But yeah, my primary instrument is my guitar.
And obviously your voice.
Yes.
How long have you been playing guitar and creating music from your spoken word?
I started learning guitar in, I think, year 7. I think very early in my school career, they were offering like discounted music lessons in schools, which I think is like quite a common thing, or at least it was. And it used to be on a Tuesday and it should skip every week. So like in a week, 1 week you'd miss period 1 and the next week you'd miss period 2, and that way it didn't interrupt your education. And I got into the habit of skipping all of Tuesday and hanging out with my guitar teacher. And he didn't mind because I really cared about guitar and I was pretty good at it. And every week my teachers were like, oh, Angharad must be in guitar.
I love that. So now, as an adult, as we are, how much time are you able to dedicate to kind of that creative process?
I think it kind of depends what's happening. I think because my kind of workflow is very up and down. So I still kind of consider a lot of like half of creating feels like my free time, but that's the half that feels nice. Like the kind of sitting down to grind, I'm like, this is my work hours. But yeah, a few times a week I get like a session of doing something creative.
Are you able to view yourself as a full-time artist, or do you have to fit it in around other work?
I view myself as a full-time freelancer, and that includes my music work. But all the work I do is kind of freelance and is somewhat creative. It's somewhat to do with like words or like creative people, but that does translate into a lot of it not feeling as creative, which I think is a very common experience.
Yeah, and I think that recent times have closed people down a lot. I thought COVID would be this massive creative window, and it kind of hasn't been.
Yeah.
All that free time would just be, oh wow, I'm locked down, I can't go anywhere, and actually the lockdown in itself locks your mind down sometimes. I mean, did you have that experience at all?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's currently, I think this is quite a common experience, but for me, I found it very difficult to start anything new. Like this creative work I've been able to do has been able to say, okay, well, I have these fragments from before lockdown that I've kind of written down and put in a book somewhere, and I can take those out and maybe work around with them. But I found it very difficult to sit down and like write onto a blank page something completely new.
Hoping you are able to look forward, what are you planning for?
Well, I have another single which I've been working on, and I really just need to sit down and do kind of the marketing, the like lyric video, that kind of stuff for it, and hopefully that will launch before the end of the year. And that's a single called I Got Better, and it's about like friendship breakups, which is another like avenue where I was feeling a big emotion and I couldn't find any music that kind of reflected that. And I think it is a very common experience to have big emotions around your friendships and like arguments within your friendships breaking down. But most of the songs that exist out there about relationship breakups are romantic relationship breakups, and they're like explicitly about romantic relationships. So I didn't have anywhere to kind of catharsis. So I ended up writing quite a few songs about friendship breakdowns. And this is one of them that hopefully will come out before the beginning of 2022.
I'd like to now say thank you so much for giving your time today for this interview. And to close, I'd like you to introduce your current single.
This is We Grew Up in the Graveyard. We Grew Up in the Graveyard. I would say it's about a lot of things. At the time when I first wrote the first kind of words, writing it down, it was based off of a Dylan Thomas quote, which is Swansea is the graveyard of ambition. And I wrote the first words when I was a very angsty teenager, very worried and like very ambitious, but like feeling destined to not be able to go anywhere. And looking back, I feel like it could be about a lot of things. It's about kind of industrial neglect of not the southeastern London. It's about feeling disenfranchised through being diagnosed as chronically ill, which I like recently had been when I first wrote it. It's about all those things, about kind of desperation to succeed and like certainty that you are at a disadvantage for one reason or another and how you deal with that.
Brilliant. Let's watch the video.
Directed grasping death's soil tight. We made our own electric light. Competition's bright and loud, 'cause only the best get out. And every other flame goes out. Wanna get out, not go out. Wanna get out, not go out. We grew up in the graveyard. We grew up in the graveyard. We grew up in the graveyard. I had a bloody, dirty relationship with every MacBook microchip. Grab every talent, milk it hard. Fatten up that repertoire. For M4 is your abattoir. Wanna get out, not go out. Wanna get out, not go out. We grew up in the graveyard. 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 Oh, we're scared to go back home in case the living disappear and leave us all alone where we were drugged up, grasping death's soil tight. The stars never shone too bright, 'cause we grew up in a graveyard. We grew up in the graveyard. We grew up in the graveyard. We grew up in the graveyard.